This episode of Hak5 is brought to you by Domain.com.
Hello and welcome to Hak5. My name's Darren Kitchen.
My name is Shannon Morris.
My mustache fell off.
Haha. I'm so much more manly than you are. It tickles.
You're missing a great opportunity for Japanese here.
Ooh, don't touch my mustache.
Don't touch my mustache, you too.
Don't touch my mustache.
This is the weekly dose of technologists. I'm Darren Kitchen. That's Shannon Morris. We have a fantastic segment for you guys. Show. We're doing a whole show like we do every week. We're coming up to the end of this season. Can you believe it?
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Well, we usually end the season around DEF CON time, and then we end the next season around, CES/MooCon time.
Yes.
So every single year, that's how it happens. So this week, we have some fun times with the newest version of sdrsharp.
Sounds good.
As well as more plugins.
And I have some fun times from Neah Bay, Washington, where I was at Toorcamp.
Yay!
Camping in the wilderness
Did you have
with
a good
the
time?
hackers. Yes, it was fantastic.
Awesome.
There needs to be more hackers and camping in my life because
Aw.
it is just that's.
Did you go to
so
Forks?
Great. I did. I drove through Forks actually, and there were no sparkly vampires that I saw.
Really? Did you see any tourism stuff?
Yes, a
For
lot.
Twilight?
Yeah, that town has turned into a tourist trap for Twilight aficionados.
I'm okay with this. I will be one of those that gets trapped in the tourism.
Wahoos. We also, hey, you know what? Something interesting happened on the way back from this trip, and that was I discovered the fantastic town of Ashland, Oregon. Ashland, Oregon. Oregon's really cool. I like Oregon a lot. You got Portland and Eugene and Ashland and Medford.
Yeah.
Medford's not bad. Anyway, point of this story is that on my way back, stopped at this fantastic bar called Omar's. I highly recommend it in Ashland. It's a cool little college town. Gonna have a good time no matter what. And I made a mistake. And now, if you find my camera that has all the B-roll from the episodes from the Toorcamp, could really use it back. So, yeah. Also the once in a lifetime vacation photos.
Yeah, no kidding. Even just the SD card.
Yeah,
just
seriously.
give us the SD card.
I just want the SD. I really don't even care about.
Did you try calling the bar?
I did. In fact, this poster, an awesome person on Twitter put up the poster at the bar, and I'm talking to the owner, and he's going to check the security camera footage, and we'll see.
Well, we'll see what happens.
I feel horrible. So all we have from Toorcamp is main cam and glass.
Oh boy.
But I lost the B cam that it used to
with
get
all the cool
fantastic.
stuff.
You have no idea.
All the cool close-ups.
Okay, so like close-ups of, so we had the van there, and we do have the aerial photography from the drones.
Oh, well that's good.
So that's good at least. But we, we had like the van set up with an awesome booth, and what you won't see is that Shady Tail was like running lines to everybody's encampment. Yeah, seriously, Twisted Pair, and it was all going to like a PBX line. And I spent so much time at this conference war dialing different extensions and prank calling people, and it was so much fun. So much fun.
Wow, that is so 90s.
And we set out in front of the van. We set out a big bowl of pineapple flavored candy, and I just put a cardboard sign on it that said free candy. And then in the middle of the night, when I came back to check on it, people had put like Smarties and like Laffy Taffy and all sorts of other candy in with it. And I'm like, see, this only happens at Toorcamp. Like your free candy like spawns.
That's not supposed to.
That's some examples of the B-roll that we are missing. So just imagine epic lasers and campfires and domes and.
It's okay, dude. It's all right. I mean, at least you came home with the actual interviews and the footage so that we can roll that.
And I smell like a campfire.
You kind of do. I kind of want to roast some marshmallows on your face.
Awesome. And with that, let's just roll into the first segment of Doodad. I don't actually have a meme to begin this other than I'm on a boat. Except you're not on a boat. Nobody's driving this boat. Who's on this boat?
There are a couple computers and an Arduino and BeagleBone and whatever sensors we can find to bolt, zip tie, or otherwise attach to it.
And so, may I ask, what inspired you to send BeagleBones and Arduinos paddling along?
So this actually came out of an earlier and somewhat more ambitious project to sail a autonomous boat around the world. That didn't really go anywhere, and a few months ago I'm like, well, I'd like to actually do one. So let's start with some, yeah, one that we can actually do. See what like the minimum drone boat we can do is, and that's Hackerbot.
So you're calling it a drone boat?
Yeah, autonomous drone, whatever.
Well, how would you define that?
Well, in this case, right now we're just giving it enough brains to go find GPS waypoints. But in the future, we might put a little more intelligence so it can plot its own course, taking into account weather and things like that.
And Eric, how'd you get involved in this project?
Well, I run a space called Hackerbot Labs in South Seattle, and it's what a lot of the folks working on this project are come from. We come together to work on hard problems. We've done a lot of very ambitious things that a lot of folks would not have an opportunity to try and tackle, because we've got a group of smart, dedicated people that all fall into sort of hobbyists, but sort of hardcore hobbyists, if that makes sense. So a lot of hacker spaces do a lot of individual memberships and one-off sort of personal growth, sort of, I want to use a laser cutter for a while sort of projects. Our space is really focused on sort of big group projects. So we've done high altitude balloon launches, we've done a bunch of different robotic stuff, we've done all kinds of things. This is kind of the latest thing that we're distracted with right now.
In fact, were you not here last year doing something with lasers?
Yeah, we shot some big lasers up into the sky here last time, so 2 years ago. But so this, as Pierce mentioned, one of our sort of dreams is to have, hundreds of autonomous vessels floating all around the globe, collecting data in ways that hasn't been done before. One of the interests I have in this is simply because it hasn't been done before. There's a huge number of autonomous vehicles that operate in the sea. To the best of my knowledge, none of them have actually circumnavigated the globe fully autonomously. So that's a really ambitious goal.
So like research buoys or like totally autonomous boats?
So all those things, right? They have sea gliders, they have, above water vessels, things that are just simply buoys, as well as things that move. But obviously this vessel is not going to do that, but it's a stepping stone along the way towards greater things, hopefully.
And so can you walk me through some of the magic under the hood that actually makes this happen? Like where do you even begin with this? Because like, say in the RC world, if you wanted to build an RC airplane or quadcopter or helicopter, something like that, you could go to a forum and learn all of the ins and outs until you're blue in the face. This is a little new.
Okay, well, we can start at the stern here, at the back of the boat, with the propulsion. So we've got just a little electric trolling motor. They're cheap, and then we've got a steering servo. You can also see we have the radio mast, just for a 900 megahertz link. In this compartment, we'll actually have the brains of the operation. It's just an Arduino and a BeagleBone, some other electronics, speed control for that motor.
So you say a 900 megahertz link, so it's not like a typical, say, 2.4 gigahertz like RC link.
No, it's actually an Ethernet bridge.
So you're actually just using 900 megahertz modems?
Yep. Actually, Miles, who just walked over, has been putting that networking system together.
Oh, well, Miles, can you tell me about the networking system?
Sure. It's actually a bunch of 900 megahertz Ethernet equipment in a mesh. You may have seen down on the beach, there's actually a huge tower that we set up to get above the waves enough to get out the distance there. And then there's also a 2.4 gigahertz just so we can have like a webcam and some other stuff and like test from the bench.
And with the 900 megahertz, you've got, pretty much, well, here we are on the coast, so your radio horizon is the horizon, right?
Exactly. Yeah, we can only get a bigger tower, we could go even further.
And so the idea, though, is if it's not anonymous, but autonomous, you wouldn't necessarily need to have a constant link for control since you're just giving it waypoints. Have you thought about how, if you were to say, like Eric, you were talking about deploying a fleet of these, how you would manage those?
So ultimately, right now, this is just an experimental vehicle, so we need telemetry. So if it goes out of control and tries to invade Canada or something, we'll tell it to turn around. But longer term, these things should be able to operate with their own onboard logic, navigation, vehicle health management stuff that will enable them to operate without communication. There is, of course, satellite available in a lot of these places, but that gets expensive. The cost per packet or cost per byte tends to be really high. So you want to optimize your vehicle to offload all the computing instead of in the cloud, which is where most things are going to actually bring it back into the vehicle so you can minimize your overhead in telecommunications.
So you had mentioned invading Canada. How exactly would that? What kind of problems would that cause? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's from my understanding, what is it, like 13 miles or something out, and then you're in international waters, or is it 20? They keep expanding it. What are some of the regulations that you've come up against when, you know, on the one hand there's the innovation and the technology, and on the other hand you're like, oh well, even though we can, like, what should we do?
Well, you just asked a number of really fascinating questions, right? But at the end of the day, we probably shouldn't invade Canada today. Just gonna go with that.
Okay. So they can keep the maple syrup to themselves for now. I'm just really fascinated by this because it's a totally different beast. I can't imagine that you could just find off-the-shelf ground control stations, or I guess it wouldn't be a ground control station at that point. And so it sounds like you've had to really invent a lot of technology. What would you say, what was your starting point as for maybe something that you could modify and adapt to this use, and what other things have you had to invent just to make this work?
Pretty much hacked up out of readily available parts, right? You know, we have off-the-shelf single-board computers for it. You know, we built a little interface board to tie them together, but that's not very complicated. The motor and servo, that's all off-the-shelf. Servo is actually RC parts. We're using off-the-shelf batteries and chargers. This frame that we built, we just stick a array of solar panels on top of. Even for ground control, we're using something called Mavlink, which is pretty popular for little quadcopter communications and everything. We were able to adapt that really easily to this. It's more, you know, what's interesting about it is more the particular way we've put everything together, you know, rather than having to develop anything from scratch.
Sure. No, I love that. That's the hacker mentality. So what were some of the biggest challenges? Would you guys, anybody chime in? What were some of the first things that we were not expecting to be as challenging as it was?
Waterproofing is hard. Waterproofing is really hard. Yeah. Getting everything watertight and connected between, we're used to just be able to run Ethernet. Well, no, now it's a $30 Ethernet connection to get the right type of jacks. And so doing it on the cheap without a whole bunch of mil-spec connections ended up being part of where we had to get creative. More caulk was the answer.
Often that's the answer. The other thing that ended up being a giant pain was actually, we started with a kayak that we found on Craigslist for real cheap. And modifying it so that we could use it as an autonomous boat and repairing it because, you know, the cheap kayak had some issues. Turned out to be a much bigger time sink than expected.
And so is this that platform, or have you rebuilt it from scratch, or how does that come together?
Well, we started with a $150 Craigslist kayak. Then we had to fix the various cracks. We had to add the motor mount in the back. And it had, you know, the typical sort of curved down kayak type hatches. So we had to build them up to a flat so we could have a nice flat surface that we could just strap a hatch down to over here.
And so where do you see the project going? What do you guys are out here just testing? I know that a moment ago you were just doing some float tests. What's your kind of progress for this project that you see?
So I'm a big fan of shipping early, shipping often, right? This vehicle hopefully will make it through the weekend. If not, that's no big deal. I think it's going to work though. We'll see. But ultimately, what I see the genuine purpose of this vehicle is to inspire, educate us, and to enable us to take the next steps. So we're going to learn a lot. We're going to make a lot of mistakes. We're going to do it fast. We're going to keep going, and also hopefully recruit some other people that want to work with us to build awesome shit and do things that haven't been done before.
Right. So, I mean, I get what you're saying is you don't even know what questions you need to be asking yet or what engineering challenges you will run into. So it sounds like an awesome, it's a very exciting time for your project. And so I wish you all the best with your maiden voyage. Where can other people who may be watching this program now and getting inspired saying, hey, I want to make autonomous drone boats, where can they find out about your hackerspace and this project in particular?
We've got a website up on hackerbotlabs.com, and we'll be posting a bunch of information up there where you can find out more.
Awesome. Hackerbot Labs. Well, we will hopefully see you guys have a successful first autonomous launch later in the con. Thank you so much.
Well, you should come back when we're actually doing our launch. You can see this thing float or sink.
I absolutely hope to. Thank you so much.
It just struck me. I had a killer idea. It hit me fast and I was like, you know what I need to do? I need to make lemon-flavored mustaches on the interwebs so people can buy them from me. And that'd be a fantastic idea. You can take that business idea. It's a really good one. And so what you need to do is get yourself a domain name. And where you do that? Get it on domain.com. Because they have an awesome place as a domain discovery system and it's super fast. So you can find the domain that's right for you, and then their checkout process is super simple. So you have your website up and running in like no time at all. And then people will be getting your mustaches like that. And I told you guys before, I love domain.com because they're reliable, they're affordable, they're easy to use, but most of all, because they're a fun place to do business. They like lemon-flavored mustaches, and you can find out by tweeting them at domain.com. And the guys over at domain.com, they're also huge fans of Hak5. That's why they want to hook you up with a coupon code. It's really easy to remember. It's Hak5. Use that at checkout and get an extra 15% off. So, lemon mustaches. And when you think domain names, think domain.com.
We're back, and it's now time for the trivia question of the week. Last week's trivia question was, who is considered to have developed the very first computer virus and when? And the answer was John von Neumann. Now this week's trivia question is, which of the following frequencies is not an amateur radio frequency? The first is 14.235, 29.8, 29.5, or 18.160, and you can answer that over at hak5.org/trivia for your chance to win some awesome Hak5 goodies. We are back, and it's time for some more fun with software-defined radio, because this is my newest obsession and I love it, and I think you guys should love it just as much. So I've gotten a lot of my information from RTL-SDR.com. It's the place to go if you ever have questions, if you need really good tutorials, walkthroughs, and download links. One of the things I've been checking out lately since last week has been the plugins. So over at RTL-SDR.com, they listed about 15 or so different plugins that you can download, and the one I checked out last week is called the Frequency Manager Plus Scanner and Scanner Metrics and Frequency Entry Package Plugin. So this works just fine, and it's already pre-compiled for you, so you just run an exe and it works. Well, that's not the case all the time with plugins. Sometimes you actually have to go into you have to change a DLL file, or you have to find a .config and change some information in a config file. So I wanted to run through a little bit of information about how to actually install other plugins that aren't pre-compiled like this one is for you. So today I'm checking out this one called Level Meter. So Level Meter plugin, it is over at levelmeter.sub-web.de, and I'll have the link in the show notes for you guys. And this basically gives you a meter showing you how much power you're receiving from a certain frequency. So the download link is right on their website. You just click download and you can download the one that you need. They also have the source code if you're interested in that. Note here under history, they have two different download links. The newest one only works with 1177, that version of sdrsharp. The older version, version 0.02, that one is the one I downloaded because specifically I am running 1193, that version of sdrsharp. Since there's so many different versions, sometimes you're going to run into a problem where some plugins are not going to work for you. So back to the plugin, you just download the zip file, extract it, and then you get a couple of different files available to you. So if I click in here, okay, I get a readme.txt, and the second one down here, it's very small, but it says sdrsharp levelmeter.dll. So luckily this one walks you through everything that you need to do. You basically just take this DLL, copy that, and you want to put this in your installation folder where you have sdrsharp installed. So I've already done this part, and I basically just copied and pasted it into there. The second step you want to do is go back into that Level Meter plugin, open that README file, and copy and paste this add key. So this information is one line of code that you're going to end up copying into your .config file for sdrsharp. So you copy that, go over to downloads again, and I'm going to go to my SDR install file, my folder, and I'm going to scroll down and look for the config file. Okay, I'll make this big. So I want to scroll down and look for this line right here. called Sharp plugins. So this is where all my plugins are going to be put. So if you need to actually physically do this, you just add it to the end like so, and then you're ready to go. Now I've already added it, so I'm going to erase that. And then you just close and save your file. Now when you open SDRSharp, and I'll go ahead and close these, get them out of the way, go away, you're going to get a brand new plugin over on the side. So you'll notice I have everything like normal that I would usually see over here. I have all my other plugins down at the bottom. So this is the level meter plugin. So this is the one that we wanted to play with. So basically there are 3 modes that you can monitor with this level meter. The RX power of VFO, which is the variable frequency oscillator. So basically in electronics, an oscillator, their frequency can be tuned over some kind of range. So that's basically what that is, VFO. The other one is the average RX power and bandwidth, and the peak RX power and bandwidth as well. Now some of these settings can be changed in the config file, but pretty much you just want to leave everything as default. So if I go in here, and I currently have this changed to a radio station, and it sounds very clear, so if I turn up the volume, I can listen to it just fine on my little antenna. If I change it, and you'll notice that it's ranging about negative 40 dBms. Now if I change it to one with a higher frequency, more power, you'll notice that it goes higher up, negative 30 dBm. So it definitely changes, and you can actually track what's going on there. If you change your antenna, you'll also notice a power difference as well. And if I choose something that's a little dead, it goes really, really far down, and you're not going to get a very good frequency out of that. You also have the option down here to change your modes, so you can change to average or peak power for bandwidth instead of VFO. You can smooth out your line, so whenever you hit smooth, it's going to stop jumping all over the place up here. It'll just end up being a little bit more of a smoother interaction with your level meter. And I can also show a little pop-up, so I can actually put that over on the side if I need to open up different frequencies, and I won't be able to look at my level meter over on the edge the entire time. So I'm going to hit, oh yeah, I got to hit down here and close that. And that's about it for the level meter. It's very, very simple to use. It's a really handy tool, as well as a lot of the other plugins. The other thing I wanted to mention too, and let me go ahead and stop my radio playing here, is I downloaded the newest version of SDRSharp, and I wanted to show you a side-by-side comparison of the newest version. So it's going to tell you error loading because some of my plugins, surprise, surprise, do not work with the newest version because they have not been updated by the people that made them. So this is the new version, and this is the old version. So the oldest one I have is 1193. This one is 1313. A lot of plugins currently do not work with this, but they do have all the same ones built in. So you still have your frequency manager. You can record onto WAV files, which is pretty cool. They also have things in here like Zoom FFT, which is pretty fun. AGC, audio, radio, and source. So all of the same information that you're going to get in either one. And if I scroll up, you'll see a very nice comparison of the two. And if I click up here, oh, let me go ahead and close that. Yes, quit. There we go. You'll see that the radio, the frequencies, the waterfall, everything still looks the same. So it's very, very similar to what you're used to back in the day with the other SDRSharp versions. Now, I'm looking forward to checking out some other plugins. I don't intend to do a whole bunch of series or segments about them, but I want to know which ones are your favorites and what version that you found to be the most compatible with tons of different plugins, because I found a lot of them do not work with these 2 versions of SDRSharp that I have. Also, where can you find other versions of SDRSharp? Because I haven't found them, and I would like to find other versions so I can download all the plugins and try them all, because yay, all the plugins. Now, I'm going to take a break. We'll be right back with more fun, so stay tuned.
That is one nice Toorcamp logo. What on earth is printing this, Nicholas?
So this is a ink shield, which is an inkjet printer shield for Arduino and other microcontrollers. It controls HP 6602C inkjet inkjet printer cartridge.
Why this one specific HP?
So this printer cartridge is a very simple printer cartridge. It is 12 nozzles, and they just require a 6 microsecond pulse at 20 volts. And it heats up a little resistor inside the inkjet printer cartridge, which vaporizes a little bit of ink, which blows out the unvaporized ink out in front of it, out onto the page. And it's just 12 nozzles, simple.
Wait, when you say 12 nozzles, like there's literally just 12 nozzles in a row?
12 nozzles in a row. There's a row of nozzles right here, and there's 12 of them over 1/8 of an inch.
So, give it voltage, you get ink. That's simple.
Yep. Apply a voltage at a pulse, and you get a spray of ink out of that nozzle.
That's weird because normally when I think about HP printer cartridges, the first thing that comes to mind is DRM.
Right, and these are very old style printer cartridges. They're still sold and used in point-of-sale receipt printers.
Okay, so that means they'll be around for a while.
They'll be around for a while. Actually, it's another nice thing about this printer cartridge is that the carrier is sold by point-of-sale receipt printer supply companies because it's a part that can be replaced in printers.
So not only are they available, they're also going to be there's going to be parts available, and they're going to be cheap.
Right. I mean, they're not super cheap, but it's relatively cheap.
As far as ink is concerned,
Right.
Which is more expensive than Chanel No. 5, but that's a different story. So, wow, this is kind of like I'm looking at like what so at first glance, if I didn't know, I'd be like, oh, it's a 3D printer. How much of this is a 3D printer?
So the I mean, you can obviously configure this any way you want.
Mm-hmm.
The intent originally was trying to build a 3D powder printer and controlling an inkjet, and trying to hack a regular inkjet printer is very difficult. Controlling this is very easy. So you can do a 3-axis motion, you can do 2-axis motion, you can 1-axis motion.
So what you're saying is your kit allows you to interface the ink cartridge and its nozzles with an Arduino shield, and then the sky's the limit as far as the ways that you can implement this.
Correct.
So what kind of implementations have you seen?
So personally I've done a ticker tape printer, which is just a 1D printer. So you have a roll of paper and it printed out tweets.
Oh, so you actually don't have to, in that case, since you've got 12 nozzles, you don't have to worry about moving back and forth. As long as the tape is going across, you can just spray out any font up to 12 pixels high.
Correct. So that was a really simple build. It's just a roll of paper and one motor and then the inkjet ink shield.
So you'd get a tweet, and then the ticker tape would print out your tweet.
Right. So that's the simple one.
I love that.
Then I went to the 2D one here with the Post-it notes. I've seen some people take the head and put a LED on it, and then use a webcam, and then a script on their computer that knew what the picture they wanted to print was. They'd just manually wave the inkjet cartridge over the paper, and the webcam would tell it where it was and what specific pattern to spray out at that moment. And they printed like the Mona Lisa picture on a piece of paper just by hand, just waving around, filling in where it wasn't printed yet, and the computer sent the right pattern of dots for that spot on the page.
That is just absolutely rad. Okay, wow, I want one. I need to know, what do I need to get involved with this? Like, what's your base setup with an Arduino and whatnot?
So,
and how do I get the software connected and all that?
So it's a simple library I've written for Arduino that you can just say I want to spray ink and specify which nozzles you want to spray ink out of.
Yeah. Can you just give it like standard out, like the print command, like literally the print command?
It's almost that simple. You pretty much just say spray ink, and the 12 bit or 16 bits. There's 4 that get thrown away, but the 12 bits of data you want, just a 1 or 0 in that spot, and it sprays out ink in that pattern.
It's bitmaps.
It's just bitmaps. That is right. So you just say print these 12 dots or these 6 dots in these 6 empty spots, and it sprays it. And then you can do your motion control to move where you need to do your next one, and then do it again. So there's a simple library. It's just the shield kit and an Arduino and a 12-volt power supply, and the shield deals with the boosting up to 20 and all of the management. You only need 5 pins off your Arduino to drive the 12 nozzles, because they have multiplexers and boost converters and transistor arrays and everything that's needed to actually drive the inkjet.
Oh my gosh, this is so fantastic. I must thank you. Where can I get one?
So you can go to nerdcreationlab.com, and they're available on my store, and there's links to GitHub and documentation, assembly instructions. It is a kit you solder yourself, but there's step-by-step instructions putting it together, and yeah, everything's open source. All the schematics are available, all the libraries are available.
Dude, thank you so much for making Open awesome. This is freaking sweet. Can I have this guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, buddy. I love that it's on a Post-it note too.
Right, you just take it with you.
This is pretty spectacular. I'm a Toorcamper.
That just about wraps up this week's episode of Hak5. I would like to thank you for watching to the conclusion. Before we get going, I would like to first remind you that we have some special announcements.
Oh, I hit myself in the head.
Namely DEF CON.
We're going to DEF CON.
This one will be much more calm.
We're going to DEF CON. It's August 7th through 10th. You should be there because we got the flights and everything. Oh, I'm so sorry. Did that hurt?
It's okay.
Okay, and we're going to have a vendor booth set up in the vendor room
You won't be
with
able to miss
lots
us.
and lots of really cool products.
Come
You
by
won't
and
miss
get
us.
yourself a mustache. It'll be, see? You
Are
can
we
get
giving away
mustaches.
mustaches?
Yeah, we're giving away mustaches.
We should put tape on the back of them
Well,
so people can be
come
like,
up with a solution for the mustache adhesive. If you have ideas for mustache adhesives, you can email feedback.
that sounds like a really bad idea.
I can't end this episode, Paul. I can't end this episode.
Then just shut up because I will end it. Also, you can always reach out to
No,
us
we have
at...
to do this professionally. We have to make it seem like we're not a bunch of goofballs.
But we are goofballs.
But we've been given the unique opportunity to educate the hackers of the world, and we're failing our audience by being too silly.
Please. We get...
Vote.
People email us and tell us to be more silly because they miss it. So we have to be more silly.
Call 844-GET-HACK5 and press 2 if you think that we should be more silly, and press 3 if you think we should be less silly.
If you want to, you can email us feedback@hak5.org to
Silly
let us
in
know
the
what
subject
you think.
line.
Silly in the subject line.
Can we
Let us
say
know what you
silly?
think of the episode and everything. And also, you can always support us over at hakshop.com.
You're not
That's where we get...
This-
Yes, we are.
You can't do
What
this.
drugs did you take? hakshop.com.
Paul, I don't want to do the show. I don't want to do this. Oh, it's over.
Oh, we got a gift from a fan.
We did. Okay, so this is seriously. Let's save it for the next week's.
Okay.
We have an epic gift. We'll talk about it soon.
My name is Shannon Morse.
I'm Darren Kitchen.
Trust your
Are we
technology.
really gonna use this?
Yes! What is wrong with you? You're so strange.
So bad. I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry. Rolling.
Paul's not learned anything. Remember that moment in season 1? It's like, Paul, stop the camera. And what does he do?
He stops the camera. No!
Well, I'm glad that you're saving all of this precious DV tape.
So anyway.
Next up, a 14-hour episode of Hak5.
Where we just drink and curse all day long.
Oh, that's called every Hak5 Live.
That you are not going to come anywhere near. And we also have...
Should we try this
we have
again?
booze.
Should we try this again?
Sure.
Okay. That just about wraps up this week's episode of
I will
Hak5.
kill everyone.
Before we get, I have to work with this. I thought this was a lay. It's not a lay.
What did that come from?
I don't know.
It's not mine. I don't want to
Okay.
touch it. It's creepy looking.
Mine.
We're gonna be there with. We're gonna have all sorts of really cool products.
Now?
And I've been doing the D block, and
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna replace Hak5 with a Twitch stream.
people will be like, "Oh my God, Paul forgot to cut this. What do we do?"
Hello, viewers. I'm Darren from Hak5. You may remember me from such podcasts as Hak5. Shannon, save me. Save
What
me.
are you doing?
I'm making it better. I'm fixing the show.
You're not making anything better.
I'm fixing the show.
It's not fixing. That's
not-
breaking.
I give up. Oh yeah, we're just recording Hak5, dude. Say a wave to the camera. We should do this. We should just have guests on Hak5, and we should just
Hey, everybody.
hold on, like,
What's
hey everybody, you're on the show. Okay, we're actually doing the D block right now, so we'll catch you guys later. That just about wraps up this week's episode. That just about wraps up this week's episode of Hak5. But before we get going, we got some great announcement reminder to tell you about stuff.
Oh my
happening
God.
Place.
You stayed in the boonies way too long,
DEF
dude.
CON.
You might have to bleep that one.